you have to have an educated society and know a lot of literate people who are not educated. And that's how I say it. A literate person is a person who went to school, studied, even know how to read and write. But a literate person might be also unconscious of his environment, might be politically, socially, culturally unconscious. They don't have consciousness in most cases. In some cases that I've seen that play out in America a lot. When they voted for George Bush in 2001, you have a literate society that is not educated, likely voting for someone based on the sentiment that this guy, in fact, the first excuse for voting for George Bush was that he's a guy that you could drink beer with. And for me, that's some form of literacy that carries no education, because a nation ought to be governed by somebody who knows how to govern, not a guy you can drink beer with. That's like...
I have a couple of follow-up questions, because I'm actually heading somewhere with this. So for democracy to work effectively, we need an educated populace.
Yes.
I think is what you're saying.
That's exactly.
Not just a literate populace.
Exactly.
So I heard you read very beautifully from Omoyele Sowore. What percentage of Nigerians do you think can read like that?
I don't know these days. So
roughly. 50%?
Probably not that many. You know, I don't want to praise myself, but I think we're taught to read and write. I don't see that happening anymore in our education system. I think people are just being shuffled through classrooms these days to achieve the purpose of attaining a certificate and a degree, as opposed to, to being educated. For example, and I say this all the time, I was educated before I became literate, because my father was a teacher. And how did I get educated? My father used to carry me on his shoulders before I even went to school. And I would ask him all the questions in this world. What's this leaf doing here? Why is the road on the left and not on the right? You know, if you meet a road that's divided, I ask, what is this called? You know, it says the junction. If we find at that junction some kind of sacrifice made by our people, I say, why did they put this sacrifice here? Who is going to eat the sacrifice? And he will explain that the gods are the one who explain, eat the sacrifice. And when we leave the place, you say, there's no God that's coming to eat the sacrifice, but people are fulfilling their own cultural, mental,
What I just heard is very interesting, because what you're basically saying is that you can be educated before the age of 5.
Yes.
But you can't necessarily be literate before the
age of 5. Yes.
So education is something that we all start on day one.
Yes.
The day you are born, you start to become educated. Exactly. But you can't read and write until you attain a certain level. Yes. So I get the difference. What I'm trying to understand is if you believe that education is a prerequisite for democracy, and we can agree that less than 50% of Nigerians are educated, what are we doing in democracy? I'm trying to understand.
No, I understand that, but here is what I will also say. Right? Before democracy came to be on the continent of Africa, we have our own system of government. And they were based also on our understanding of ourselves. And that, I think, is education. A lot of people who ran our societies before now were not necessarily people who went to school. But you see, wow, fantastic. You will find that a lot of people were educated. There's plenty of wisdom in the way African societies were governed, even before democracy became another big deal. I think the only reason democracy became attractive to Africa was because it preached this one man, one vote, that you can somehow determine your fate if you have the right to decide your leaders and on your own. It didn't take into consideration see and buy, which is the system of voting where they buy voters these days. It probably didn't take into consideration the violence that follows it. It didn't take into consideration the operators of the democratic process. I refer to Nigeria's democratic experiment as morontocracy, which is a government for morons, by morons, completely hijacked by, yes.
So can I ask you, by running for office in a morontocracy, are you not legitimizing it?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Because I come from a different mindset. I'm here to retire the morons.
But you're going through INEC Yeah. They are going through the system that the morons have created to retire them. So
there's nowhere in the world where a revolution has happened that it is not done by the same tools that the people who are legitimizing integrity and dignity are used. When people do revolutions with a gun, probably they do it from the people who created a gun, not for the purpose of liberation but oppression. Right? I'm sure when the AK-47 was invented, it was meant to have leaders control their followers. But eventually, a lot of people turned that gun against a lot of their oppressors. And in a lot of places, people didn't even use guns. So that consciousness is to pull down the system that is out there, delegitimizing you, by letting the flaws of the system be known to everybody.
So if you become president in 2019, my expectation is by the time we get to 2023, you would have changed the system.
I am completely opposed to the Nigerian constitution as you have it now. I was a student leader here in the 90s, and I knew that the Nigerian constitution is a fraudulent document.
So if you become president and Bukola Saraki returns to Senate presidency, how are you going to overturn the presidency with Bukola Saraki and the rest of the group there? How would you tackle that?
It's the reason we set up a party now. When I first started, we were looking to join the party. Now we have our political party, and the party has candidates at different levels.
Okay.
And we continue to conscientize and educate people beyond 2019. Because what people must understand is that apart from being elected to be in the Senate, you can actually recall senators. And that was tried and tested before, but it didn't work because the process was manipulated. But Nigerians with a completely revolutionary mindset can remove senators who are not performing their duties. And I do not expect that Saraki will return to the Senate, under this dispensation. And it is largely because of the work we have done, exposing the kind of character he is. I am not feeding into the frenzy of their disagreements between Saraki and Buhari. That one can be resolved overnight. Like I warned people a few days ago that the disagreement in Lagos can be resolved overnight amongst themselves, because it's Jagaban that created Ambode. So when it's time to dismember him, he knows how to do it. Ambode did not come from the Lagos masses. He's not a critical mass person. When it was time, he was also imposed on Lagosians the same way they have imposed their new candidate now. So when people were celebrating that, these guys are going to kill themselves, I was cautious and said they can resolve it. But that is also to show that there are internal contradictions within these behemoths, political parties, that can be exploited. And that goes back to your question as to, do you go through this system and expect to legitimize? We are not legitimizing it. We are demystifying the system.
Got it.
By taking it on and delegitimizing the people who are operators of it, and saying that within even this system, if you operate appropriately, you can legitimize it and take it down.
So let me take
and
you
turn
forward.
it around.
Let me take you forward. We get to 2024.
Yeah.
President Sowore is starting 1 year into his second term. What does Nigeria look like? What does this place look like? What do our people look like? What is going on? You've done 4 years. You've had an opportunity. You now win the election again. You're in your second term. First year anniversary of your second term.
Yes.
How is Nigeria different?
First year anniversary of my second term, I promise you 24 hours of electricity in this country. Yes. Everywhere it is possible, and it's because I'm going to dismember the national grid so that people can create their own grids regionally, locally. Nothing stops us here in Ikoyi from having our own electrical grid.
So power problem solved. What else?
Our roads, which I'm sure doesn't take that long to fix. I will not be in a Nigeria where you not to construct a new one, fix Ibadan Lagos Expressway for 20 years. I've counted it. They've been doing that road for 20 years.
Under your presidency, we have 24-hour lights.
Yes.
All the roads are working. Anything else that we should expect?
We should expect education to have assumed its rightful place, because I'm bringing in 200,000 teachers. The same way when
Nigerians.
Yes,
Nigerian teachers
trained for 6 months at least, graduates, before they become teachers. The same way when I entered secondary school in 1980, I had more than this number of books given to me by free education in Ondo State. Not in a city, in a village. I went to a community high school. They gave me this number of school, Ken Sarawiwa, Ngugi Watiogo. Free. They gave us erasers. The erasers were so huge, my cousin ate them. We had to revive her when we got home. She thought it was food. We had pencils. We had Yes, all these things were made available to us. We had desks ready to go. The classrooms were ready. The principal's office was a respected place, was like a sanctuary. We had toilets. Not in the city now, in a village. That was how I became what I became. Now you go back to that school, the school is still there, but it's still the 1985 desk that is still sitting in the classroom. The louvers are still there.
If you don't win and Buhari wins and he offers you a position of special advisor, would you take it?
No, if I want a special advisor to anybody, or even a ministerial position, I probably have done this since Babangida's time.
So let me ask, if he gets back in, he calls you the day after the election and he says, you know what, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. Don't tell anybody.
Yes.
I want you to advise me to take this country forward. I'm too embarrassed to ask you publicly.
Yes.
So I'm asking you privately.
Yes.
You won't take it.
No, because I know that he has ear problems.
Okay. Is it comprehension or yes?
It's all of it combined together. A lot of people have said that even if you meet any of his ministers who are truthful enough, they will tell you that one thing Buhari is lacking is anything upstairs.
Who's the best leader Nigeria has ever had?
I probably would say Awolowo and his bias.
He wasn't a Nigerian leader.
Yes, well,
so
I know.
No, the one
that affected me.
The one's in office. Who is the best overall leader? In office. Best.
Honestly, I've never seen anyone.
But there's best. There's good, bad, and
you are not under any obligation to. It's just like saying that I just choose between a cockroach and a maggot. I mean, how does that fit into my decency?
So I'm just trying to.
Because the reason I'm saying that is that I've been through 7 presidents in my conscious lifetime.
Yeah,
and it started at University of Lagos, 1989. Babangida is number 1.
Wow.
Right? Terrible. I mean directly. So Babangida.
He's worst.
Yes.
Okay. Who is least?
Yeah.
Who is furthest from him?
Abacha, even worse.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe in terms of tenure of time that I didn't kind of feel much pressure, it would probably be Abdul Salam, because he was around for such a short time. But I later heard that he stole so much that he stole what he could have stolen in 5 years in the 1 year that he was in power.
Were you around for Gowon?
I was around during Gowon's time, but I was barely conscious that I was a child. The only thing I remember about Gowon is Udochi, because my father bought a motorbike at that time, and so.
What do you think of Third Mainland Bridge?
Third Mainland Bridge, there's nothing new about. You see, I hate to praise leaders based on what they're trying to do. No, I mean the fact that the bridge is falling apart shows that somebody didn't do a good job constructing it.
Could it be maintenance?
It could have been maintenance, but it also could have been that you didn't steal all the money that was meant for the construction of the bridge.
How would you diversify Nigeria's economy away from oil?
I've always said it, and I repeat that oil is lazy economy. I don't think oil has more than 10 years of lifespan, and any economy based upon it, I'm sorry to say, it's not going to work.
What would you bring into this place?
I'll bring in development of human capital. Nigerians are the ones we need to invest in right now.
And more so than agriculture?
Of course.
More so than agriculture?
Oh, look, the kind of agriculture we are practicing that I can bring to you in the next few years is the type that we are doing before. So you replace tractors with cows. That is not going to take you to the next level. What will take you to the next level is a Nigerian society where people who are agriculturists can actually develop seedlings, and then they can develop technologies that can make agriculture be alright. That's why you have to invest in the people, because the agriculture that I can immediately tap into is probably supplying China.
Sure.
Yes.
Cassava?
Yes. Cassava, and cashew nuts and things like that. People here will not be able to afford it because China is going to demand for it.
What in your mind is the best country in the world?
Best country in the world.
Best run country in the world.
Oh man, I've been to Denmark.
Denmark?
Yes.
Copenhagen?
Yes.
You think that's very well run?
The fact that a minister rides a bicycle, to a conference I attended, and I didn't know who she was until she stepped on the stage without a police person. We were waiting in the anteroom and it's like, what are you doing here? And she came on a bike.
Yeah. Denmark is.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry?
Yeah. So, and I think a lot of Scandinavian countries, I've heard about Norway before, but never been there. And it's the way they, redistribute their wealth. An average Norwegian has wealth stored away for him or her from their oil wells. Whereas Nigeria here, every wealth we own is stolen by our leaders.
Who is the greatest Nigerian that's ever lived?
Oh man.
In your
the ones that have ever lived?
In your opinion, that you kind of have a sense of.
Oh man.
Who would you say is the greatest Nigerian? The one that all of us should aspire to become like? Nigeria.
You know, I have a number of them. I have a number of them, man.
One that comes to your mind right now.
You know, like I said, I would take Awolowo. You know, and I have a bias for him because he gave me education.
Got it.
You know.
So you were kind of settled.
If the school wasn't there in 1980 to go to, he created the secondary school in my village in 1980.
So it's all about self-interest.
It's not self-interest. It's something that I think affected a lot of people too.
Sure.
And it's something
you
that
personally, you gained from it.
I gained from it.
Do you think that people who did?
And it wasn't that I gained money from it.
Yeah,
I gained something that I could never be negotiated
to money.
Yeah.
The education has
It hasn't for me.
Oh really?
Yes.
Really?
I'm still as poor as the short.
No, but I mean, you are not reliant on anybody. You are self-reliant because of your education.
Yes. See, what I'm saying about that is not just that. Is that value that he added to our lives, and you can convert that to money, you can convert that to other things, including integrity, which is important, and you can't measure by money. It was so important that I wish that everybody had that at that point that I had that at that age in my life. That a Marjorie child also in the North had a chance to go to the secondary school that he wanted in 1980.
Got it.
And we could have had probably not only me now, there will be millions of my type of persons in Nigeria. We wanted to having this conversation if a lot of people are as conscious as some of us because of that opportunity to have early education. Let me explain why. In 1980, if that school wasn't there, I had to go to another secondary school that takes a day to travel to, which is in Okitipupa in Ondo State. Then you have to take an entrance examination. In our village, out of about 300 kids, only 6 of them are eligible to go to secondary school because of the cumbersome and complex process of education. And I brought this school. We, in fact, we're the ones who constructed our secondary school. We volunteered to be bricklayers, we fetch water, we built the school up. And
is the school still there?
It's still there.
And children are
still going there. But the schools are without teachers today.
Sure.
Yes. So, and they don't pay, they don't have it. The other day, they contacted me to pay for the teachers for people who are writing WAEC in Ondo State.
Have you been to every state in Nigeria?
Most states. I've been to about 29 states now in the last 6 months.
Okay. Yes. In the last 6 months?
Yes. Last 8 months, I would say, since I started this. But I haven't been to every state, but largely I've been to at least 30 to 32 states in Nigeria now.
What do you think of NYSC?
Oh, I think it's outlived its usefulness.
Should they completely scrap it? Or
I won't scrap it, but I will make it non-compulsory.
What do you think of godfatherism in politics?
Oh, I hate it. With passion. And this is the reason why we're doing this. We have to retire them as well. All the godfathers need to be taken out of business.
Can we do that through the ballot box?
Absolutely, we can. If we are not cynical about it. There is a difference between what the ballot box is, what the ballot paper is, and what the right to vote is. You know, the moment it is all about the PVC, which is just a plastic card that you carry, and it's not about your will to vote for the person you want and stand by your vote, then it defeats the essence of the ballot box.
Sure.
Right.
You were in a pact with a few other parties.
I wasn't.
You were not in the pact.
I was not. I have been making this clarification forever, and I hope we get it.
So it's not.
I attended a meeting once.
Okay.
Where they were meeting, where they said they were forming pacts.
Okay.
I left the same day, told them I'm not interested.
Got it.
Because
I remember I saw you say yes.
And I said and I made it very clear. I issued a statement immediately saying these are my concerns. Yeah. And I never participated beyond that day.
There's been a lot of talk around restructuring in Nigeria. Is it something that you think?
I believe in restructuring.
You believe in? Yeah.
But I'm very quick to make a caveat out of it that you cannot restructure Nigeria and put the same drivers and expect things to be different.
Got it. So it's about the driver as well.
It is. You know, you can restructure Nigeria as much as you like. Thank you. Yeah. Or the way you want. It can be great on paper. But if you return the same set of people to govern Nigeria, a restructured Nigeria will be worse than an unrestructured Nigeria. So the first restructuring that has to happen is a generation transfer. It's a generational transfer of power, transition. The problem I have with restructuring and the advocates and proponents, which I've said and nobody has ever replied, means where are the young people for whom the future is met in the debates? You know, you want to restructure Nigeria. The people who are driving the campaign are 80-year-old people who are on the departure lounge of
Why
life.
are the youth so gagged?
Huh?
Why aren't the youth driving it? Why aren't they calling for it?
Because they don't invite you to this meeting.
Why should you be invited?
Because they don't consider you as part of the
Why don't the youth just come together and do their
But that's what we are doing now.
That's what you're doing.
Yes.
But the rest of the youth aren't doing it.
Well, a lot of them are keen into it. They are having a conversation here and there. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, you are finding younger people saying we want to be president. It's never happened before. In fact, they made it into a law that you couldn't be president if you were a certain age. That has been reduced.
Every successful politician has a base. How would you describe your base?
My base is diverse.
That's not a base.
It's what I mean is diverse. Is that it transcends both ethnic and religious, sentiments that you hear about. Creating.
Donald Trump's base is like white men who are a little bit right to the right and are very capitalist. I'm just wondering.
Our base are
Asiwaju's base is. What is your base?
Tell me what's Asiwaju's base.
Well, his base is mostly the uneducated. The people who tend to have violent tendencies, who tend to have monopolistic tendencies, who aspire to make a lot of money. That's how I see his base.
Yes.
Those are the people that you tend to see behind. What's your base?
I would also add that it's mercantilistic tendencies,
Mercantilistic.
Yes.
So like mercantile.
Yes.
Okay. What is your base?
So our base is young people, likely young.
What is the age range for young?
What's your impression of young people?
Well, it's also I have an impression that I would say it's a little bit mixed. I'm finding that a lot of young people still haven't found their balance. They haven't found their understanding of their powers within the society, and as a result, some of them are aloof, and it's based out of cynicism. A lot of them are skeptical that they even have the power to change society because they've never tried anything before and haven't been able to move themselves to a point where they can make things happen differently. So that's how I feel about some young people. But a lot of consciousness is also happening because social media, for instance, has brought young people to a realization that they have some powers. Of course, some people are making it transactional by calling themselves social media influencers, and then they sell their base to the same old politicians. But we are having organic kind of connection and engagement with young people that is direct, that don't used to happen before. So outside of the natural market space for ideas, there is now a virtual space for engagement and connection. For example, young people in Nigeria, or even older people in Nigeria who are outside of Nigeria, don't used to know how to engage with politics in Nigeria because there was no way, you had to come home before you can do it. But look at the internet now, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is making that engagement possible.
How many people have access to that sort of media?
On Facebook, in particular, they said every Monday, over 16 million Nigerians log into 16 million Nigerians.
10% of the population.
It's not. Look at it from the point of view of the people who are logging into Facebook are people who have attained the voting age. And the last person who won the election in Nigeria won with about 15 million votes. So if all the guys who are logging to Facebook who are conscious enough vote for a candidate to win the election in 2015.
Yeah, but what about the disenfranchised people, 160 minus 15? What about those people? Who speaks for them?
That's what I'm saying. It's the reason why we're on ground. It's the reason we've done 29 states, traveling to places like Zamfara.
You want to grow that base?
Well, it's not only that we're growing it. Everywhere we've been, even outside, this immediate base we're talking about, people welcome us, they accept us. When we started, we were told that you dare not go to Kano because the which you raw is Buhari's land. Zamfara. I went to Zamfara. We went to Kebbi. We traveled around the country and found out that these people are welcoming of fresh ideas. But of course there are barriers. There are language barriers in particular. There are communication barriers. A lot of people.
Wasn't that what NYC was supposed to help?
I talked about NYC to you. NYC is not different from every other white
what I'm saying is
idea.
there are language barriers.
Yeah.
That is one of the reasons it was set up. If we scrap it, what do we replace it with? Because people like you have to be able to go across.
I didn't say I would scrap NYC. Okay. I said I will make it non-compulsory.
Okay. I'm trying to understand how.
That is to say that, and I know this is controversial. I'm saying that if you graduate from college, either within or outside Nigeria, you don't have to do NYC, in my view. What I would then do is to incentivize NYC such that anybody wants to go to NYC will find it fulfilling. And it has to do with how much you pay somebody who is doing NYC, who has left his family, to go to, say, Zamfara to teach. I want to pay the person the minimum wage I recommend for workers, 100,000 naira. So that while you are there, you can feed yourself, you can clothe yourself, you can protect
What do you think of
yourself.
Israel?
Israel, the state of Israel? Well, I honestly believe in a two-state solution. That is, Palestinians and Israelis can live side by side in peace. So, and I have been part of student movement in the US that oppose the oppression of Palestinians by Israelis. And I know a lot of Jews also in the US and even within Israel that were in a connection with who seriously oppose the violence being visited on their neighbor.
Because Israel has a 1-year conscription into the military. So whether you like it or not, you have to join the Israeli military for at least a year. And they effectively are brought into the military to train them to fight their perceived enemy. That's why I was asking. I'm trying to draw a parallel.
But that if you look at Israel, it's not just fighting their enemies. They also use the military to train them about technology. They train them in a variety of things that in that 1 year after you're done with the military, you can actually be a standalone person, having benefited from your training and do some other things with your life.
Which should have been the purpose of the
That's what NYC is supposed to be about.
Where did it fall apart? Was it good at the beginning?
Never.
I don't know what it was at the beginning. I did NYC and I know that it was
A waste of time for you?
It wasn't a waste of time, but I wish that more functional.
Okay.
When I was in NYC, I totally loved it to the point that I only came home once for my graduation. I stayed in Yola at
If you make it voluntary.
but they punished me there.
If you make it voluntary,
yeah.
How many people will go and do it?
A lot of people will do it if you make it voluntary and you pay them well. A lot of people will do it. I think the same number of people will do it. Even more people will do it. Because if you are paying somebody 100,000 to go to, and also I have a plan for insurance. If you die or something happens to you, they will give you 10 million naira in insurance to your family. Not that so that social insurance that you feel when you are doing NYC will make you give your best. Yeah, you have to incentivize people. You can't just send people to a volatile area of Nigeria, ask them to stay there for a year. And when I was in NYC, they weren't even paying our monthly alawi, as we call it, allowances.
So is there hope for Nigeria? Is there hope?
There is hope. This is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. There's hope because there are a lot of people here who just need to understand that they are powerful and take the country back, right? The only other alternative is to leave the country in the hands of these characters, and we'll still have to clean up the mess after them anyways. The only options that are open to Nigeria is for Nigeria to completely collapse. And if it does, it's going to affect you and me. Even those who are outside, we are involved in helping to clean up a mess in Sierra Leone, in Liberia. When they had Ebola the other day, all of us had to stop whatever we are doing. We had to pray for them, for those who pray, to help them, for those who could do medical missions to the place. Cuba sent a medical mission to, I think, Sierra Leone or Liberia to help them with Ebola.
What do you think your chances of winning the presidential election?
Very high chances, on the condition that people understand that is the easiest thing to do. This is the best time to be alive for me, for voters, if only they do the right thing.
Do you think INEC would be fair?
INEC has always been an umpire who has been created to help the ruling party win. People should not lose sight of that. That's the reason why INEC is some kind of lackey of the government. But at the same time, it has always been known that it's difficult to rig an election for someone who didn't win the election, no matter how sharp they think you are. Let me tell you something that I discovered about Nigeria over these last 30 years I've engaged with Nigeria. I don't know whether it's a natural mistake, but whenever Nigerians reject a particular leader, somehow, no matter how manipulative they are, they fail to achieve their purpose. It happened with Babangida. We were almost giving up that Babangida would perpetuate himself in power. He had already annulled June 12. All his boys, they call IBB boys, said, let's continue. Somehow that plan collapsed overnight. They went and brought Shoneko. Everybody said we don't want an interim national government. They brought soldiers on the street, they shot people, killed as many as they wanted. Somehow, 84 days later, Shoneko had to be let out of the way. Abacha came. Abacha died almost on the eve of the night he was supposed to be adopted by 5 political parties that he created. to be the sole presidential candidate, including Bill Clinton at that time saying, well, at this point there's nothing wrong if he continues. That's America.
Was that divine providence?
I don't know what it is. There must be something about Nigerians that where they
natural mystic.
That's what I call it, natural mystic with me. Yeah.
If I may ask, what's your ideological framework? Why should we want to follow you? I keep on asking people like Sherry, what is going to motivate? What is it that is going to motivate me to want to believe in you? I don't know. What's your fundamental?
Yes. So the ideological part is my very strong conviction in welfareism, that the welfare of the people of any country, including Nigeria, must be supreme. That will take care of our people first and foremost before we start thinking about other people or a clique or a cabal. So that welfareistic blood is what has defined me over the years. The insurance, which is what you're asking for, is to key into my history. What I did when I was a younger person in the university, where this country needed people to stand up, and most people wouldn't stand up because of what they were benefiting. I fought against the military. When I was 21 years old, I fought to help restate Abiola's mandate that led to my expulsion from the university, my attack, detentions. When that ended, and we had end of military rule in 1999, left the shores of Nigeria at a time, by the way, when other people were getting taken care of, maybe compensated for. I wasn't around. I wasn't compensated. I left because I knew that people didn't understand that the transition program did not produce democracy. It only produced civilian operators who didn't believe in democracy. The likes of Obasanjo never believed, and they still don't believe in democracy to today. And then came another time when after I was done with school, I set up a media company. And that media company had intervened successively when it was most crucial in the life of Nigeria. You know about Totam. We all worked to frustrate it. You know about Yaradua Kabal. We all worked to put an end to it. When Jonathan came with shenanigans, we helped to transition from a major political party that had bragged that they are around for 60 years. We ended their rule at the nick of 16 years.
They took off their white gloves and they put on blue ones. They didn't change. Nobody ended anything. All the guys in PDP moved to APC.
No, but what I'm saying is that intrinsically something shifted in Nigeria, and what shifted is part of why we're having this conversation today. There's the fact that there is implicit belief that people can use their votes to change situations, or they can use their voice. If you don't have the amplification of that voice, we wouldn't even have a change of government, whether they've shifted from one party to the other. I agree with you. I say today that there's no difference between the PDP and the APC. But Nigerians, on their own, wanted a change from a party that they know to be really bad to another party that they didn't understand very well, but now they probably understand better. So all these consolidations that have happened, I've had a hand in it, or with others. So it's what is important. That's the insurance I'm talking about, and I've been consistent about it.
The problem I have with that argument, and maybe you can educate me. The problem I have with that argument is that you are right. There's been a shifting and a seeming giving up of power, but it's come at a very high price in terms of the cost of Nigeria's wealth that has been stolen. So there are lots and lots of retired power brokers who have considered power in exchange for, I think, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So I don't see that shift. I see that billionaires have been created, and just because they've now walked away from the field, the theater of battle, are you with me, and left people like you there still fighting, they've walked away with the booty. So I don't see that. I think that the country is a whole lot worse off. It may be better in terms of freedom. If we were sitting here in 1983, we probably would have been arrested by now.
Even in 1994.
Yeah, but the fact is that nobody wants to arrest you now because they got the money.
They will still arrest me if they convince themselves.
At some point, if you get to...
If they convince themselves that, I'm stepping on their toes too much. They will do it. It's, I don't take that for granted.
But
the mentality is still there. But what I'm saying here is that there's also this thing that has happened in the sense that more and more people also feel that they can speak up, even in the face of all these odds that are stacked against us. More and more people can organize. It's a difference between not organizing because we don't want to organize and having the chance and the space to organize, which has been created. I'm talking about democratic consolidation and spaces, that we've expanded the democratic space. I cannot force people, for example. Right now, what I'm saying to you is that Nigerians have a chance, complete chance, uninhibited chance to change their leadership based on what we have achieved over the last maybe 16 to it'll be 20 years next year. But a lot of Nigerians are not taking advantage of that because a lot of people are complacent, a lot of people are cynical, a lot of people are caught up in loyalties, and some of them ethnic, some of them royal, some of them religious, but we can transcend all those odds and get to a space of freedom where we can actually, nobody will stop you from voting next year if you want to vote for a candidate of your choice or you organize for a candidate of your choice. But it used to be like that a political party used to think that the only way to do things is to do it a certain way. It is also true now there's a political party in town that is still doing the other way around. But there's more consciousness. This is Ikoyi, for example. There are 2 million people here who don't vote.
Is that the number of non-voters?
In Ikoyi, Victoria, and this triangle,
it's yours, sir.
the middle class people, they don't
2
vote.
million.
2 million of them.
Those are the people I was talking about.
Yes.
Walk away from the theater, got enough money.
When is the time for election? They travel out.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
They don't spend vacation.
That's the shift.
Yes.
The shift is that once you get yours,
yes,
I'm no longer.
No, that's true. But there's also now evidence that they are going to vote. I mean, at least that they obtained PVC.
Oh, really?
Yes. A lot of people who used to be concerned actually obtained BP. So the question is, will they vote?
Yeah.
That lady has borrowed my book. Is that not the man died?
Sorry. No,
This is the second one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think your approach is very. I would do.
Thank you. We just got a voter here. Thank you.
But I don't believe in it.
You just won a life.
Yeah.
Should I stand up and be prayed for?
No. Your prayers have been answered already. Thank you so much.
Well done.
We have the next assignment.
I admire your courage.
Thank you.
And I think you're a selfless nation. That's how I see it. I don't see you as somebody who's trying to take over an NPC.
No. We will tear apart the NPC with transparency. And if that could happen, we are talking about saving over $60 to $100 billion every year from the NPC. If you have the right leadership.
I have one other question for you.
I want to pay for these books, by the way. Can we?
No, that's very important. Nigeria is the second largest oil producer in Africa.
Yes.
It jostles with Angola.
Yes.
It's the seventh largest oil producer in the world.
You know what? Yes.
Do you think that there's much foreign interference in how this country is governed?
Oh, absolutely, I do.
You do?
I know. Not only do I know that.
Okay. So you think there are interested parties who are not Nigerians who are interfering in our
absolutely.
How would you deal with that? How would you deal with
to understand that. You try to look at the history of Nigeria.
Yeah.
Nigeria was created as a company it was a United.
How would you deal with that presidential word?
Look, dealing with that is where I'm coming from. Is the exposure. I know them. I know the oil companies. I know all the interested people. But people always warn me, don't talk too much. They don't know your strategy. But the thing is that I understand that. I understand the template for interference from outside, and it's product based. It's based on the Nigerian, products known as oil and several other interests. It's not only the people you suspect that are interested in Nigeria from outside. Nigeria has been so badly governed now. Even Cameroon is interfering. Togo is interfering. Anybody can interfere with Nigeria.
Take a photo.
Yes, please. Yeah.
When everybody says that, when I tell people that I know the president, they say, probably I'll just I'll just post it on Sahara Reporters.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Well done, well done. I commend you. Sorry about my rapid fire.
No. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
For your courage, man.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. So we're back here. Auntie, let's take a picture now.
What kind of picture is this?
Did they not take a good picture? Let's do it again.
Finish with it.
No. I'm already. Okay, the one that they did, they will send it to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
What do you think of Jazzholelagos?
Auntie? Been there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I thought you did one. Let's do it again. I love it. I love the ambience. Okay, maybe we should have it again. It's fine.
Thank you very much.
Courage.
Courage is not something that's